slightly down, and we are paying $37 an hour for tutoring after school, $37.96. And this will be one of the few times that I say that we're underpaying people, and I've said it in the past. I think that a nurse would command a little bit better of a salary. I know it is what it is, but I think we should look at this in the future. I don't know if they fall under any type of any of our meet and greet or anything like that, but I think that these RNs should be getting a little bit more than that.
We have both certified school nurses and staff nurses. Our certified school nurses fall in the teacher's agreement, and our staff nurses fall in the educational assistant agreement. They do not have that certification as a certified school nurse, the staff nurses.
Oh, okay.
So we have both of those, so that's the distinction I would make for you.
Okay, that's a point of learning for me. I just wondered about that. So there's staff and they're certified.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So any more discussion?
I have a question. The full-time, the nurse that you're talking about, they get health benefits. They're a full-time employee. They get a pension.
Yes.
That's correct. They are part of.
When you're talking about money, there's a good balance right there. Is what you're getting on the backside.
Right. Right. Okay. All in favor? Or Mr. Plasto, did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to make sure Ms. Sitter wrote down that Mr. Cook would like to raise the salary. Make sure that gets in.
Far and few between. I can count it. I would not have to remove my shoes if you understand. But we can count it on one hand. So, but I mean, try to do something. So, when one of these guys hits me in the head with a baseball bat, I want to be a certified nurse. So, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. President, no,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to abstain, please. I've known the one person on the list for over 20 years, and I just think it's best if I don't vote on that.
Okay. Just for 6-4 and or 6-5 and 6-6, right?
Yes.
Okay. You can do my note that. Very good. Thank you, sir. Treasurer's report number 7. Mr. O'Toole.
Okay, if you take a look at the treasurer's report again, this is just showing you what cash we received and what cash we dispersed. Looking at the general fund, we are up about $8.5 million as compared to this time last year. We did receive quite a bit, roughly $12 million in state funding in the month of January. If we take a look at the capital projects, it is down as compared to last year. We are trying to spend the bond. We would take next month, we got an arbitrage rebate calculation back. So we'll provide that to you next month, but because we have been spending the money down, we did not have to pay any interest back to government. And we'll give you more details regarding that in the next month, but there's a reason why we had to spend the money.
It would have been considered income or something, right? For taxed.
Correct.
So looking at food service, we are right about where we were last year. And looking at child development, we are up about $350,000 as compared to last year. Any questions regarding the treasurer's report?
And I would just like to add to the record that the treasurer's report was signed by our treasurer, Mr. Maloney, and we have that documented. We've had instances in the past where we haven't had treasurer's reports, but this is absolutely a report that is signed by Mr. Maloney, who is a CPA. So I just would like that on the record. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the financial reports. Again, I'll start with the general fund, and I'll focus on year-to-date. Our year-to-date real estate taxes, we are up favorable by about $2 million as compared to last year. That's a result of raising taxes. Our earned income tax and our local service tax, that's relatively flat. Tuition/other, that's really timing. Looking at our state funding, we are actually up. Our basic ed funding, the governor, based on his disbursement of funds, did use a new funding formula and attributed, I think it was $200 million extra on the basic ed funding formula. Therefore, we would receive more money. Our other state funding, we are up about $1.4 million as compared to last year. That is a result of higher salaries, which is driving your PSER and as well as your FICA reimbursement. And then the PSERS itself, the rate changed about 4%, which also would drag that. Federal money, we did bill our IDEA. It's timing. Moving on to expenditures. We are unfavorable in salaries. We should expect that as there's raises, but we also had a coding where we were coding a lot of educational assistants into the support services. Well, some of these educational assistants are actually in the classroom, so we recoded those. So you'll see it being favorable in support services and unfavorable in regular instruction. Again, the benefits is going to hold true for all of these as a result of PSERS and medical. So as we move down to, well, we can jump down to other expenses under support services where it's favorable by about $406,000. That's a result of purchasing books, and not last year as compared to this year. And then it's relatively flat for our non-instructional until you get to the other expenditures, for which that is our wrestling match we purchased. Our debt is our debt payments. Any questions regarding the general fund before we move on? Capital projects. Capital projects is just a result of what we spent pretty much. Any questions regarding capital projects? As you saw from the treasurer's report, we only have about $3.5 million left. We'll have maybe a couple $100,000 by the end of the summer. Moving on to the food service fund. We are suffering, or not suffering, but we are down in sales. As you can see here, that we have a variance of roughly $50,000. Everything else is actually kind of, for the local revenue, it's pretty flat. If we look at our state revenue, there is timing of them releasing our subsidy reimbursement back for our meals. So there is timing resulting from from both one subsidy and the other state revenue. If we look at federal, it's the same reason and timing. And then our commodities, we will be adjusting an entry in February to account for those. As we do look down at the expenditures, we are favorable by $292,000. That is a result of the move of we've taken a number of employees from the district payroll over to Airmark. So we would expect that to be favorable. However, we would expect the management fees and other to be unfavorable. We did ask Airmark to hold off on invoices as the state was not paying or releasing any funds. We really didn't have any cash to pay any invoices. So that will catch up at some point. Any questions regarding food service funds?
Yes, Mr. O'Toole. When you're, there was something maybe a year or two ago relative to students owing an amount of money and parents are not paying.
Correct.
Okay. What is that amount of money?
I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head. We are working, here's the one issue is part of another mandate provided by, I believe it was the federal government, is at the end of the year, the food service fund itself cannot have an AR balance as a result of the students' own funds. So what we had to do is we took, the general fund covered it, and we're trying to recover the funds in the general fund. That will be more, as we received the 600 policies, this will be actually laid out more thoroughly for you when we have next month in the policy review relating to our AR collection.
But I still would like to see a...
I'll have to get back to you.
And that's fine, yeah. At the committee of the whole or at the next board meeting, a report of what students owe the district. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if we move